And of course that music means that it is time, yes, for my Sunday sermon this Sunday morning. And I want to focus on the issue of doing Brexit properly, because this is all actually related. Soldiers who bravely fought and sadly died protecting, preserving our democracy, preserving our sovereign nation state. And of course the truth is that was actually what Brexit was all about. It was about reinforcing the ability for us to act as a sovereign nation, a sovereign independent state. And as part of that, it was about being able to take back control of our borders, to be in charge of it, so that we could decide what is the right, lawful immigration policy that works for our economy. And we could decide what we do in terms of welcoming asylum seekers in an appropriate way. I just want to touch firstly on the issue of lawful immigration, because we should always welcome that when we have skills shortages to meet, whether it's doctors, nurses, engineers, computer software designers, and that sort of thing, serious skills that require serious training. I think we've always welcomed that wherever we've got specific shortages. But if we look at what has happened under this government since we actually did leave the European Union, I'll just remind you, in the year to June 2022, so these are completely up-to-date numbers, 1.2 million visas were granted for people to come and stay, study and work in the United Kingdom under the government's new point-based system. This is the highest number ever recorded in a 12-month period. It's 453,000 more than just 2 years ago, pre-COVID, in 2019. So we've essentially almost got a completely open borders immigration policy. And the word a skilled worker visa scheme sounds as though it focuses on skills. But when you actually dig into the detail, it's quite interesting, because there's over 230 different job types that are allowed under the skilled worker visa scheme, encompassing over 800 different job titles. And the salary level requirement, you might think it might be around about the average salary level, the average national salary level, or maybe a bit lower where there's specific shortages, but actually the minimum salary requirement for certain of those job titles is down to just over £16,000 for seamstresses, which is about 55% of the national average salary. So if you think about it, that is almost a completely open borders immigration policy. Work visas in that 12-month period to June 22 up 331,000, up 146,000. In other words, up 80% on 2019. Study visas up 33%, up 122,000. And with study visas, people can bring dependents. And if you have a study visa, then you can lawfully work after your studies for 2 years and then apply for a permanent skilled worker visa. So you can see how the numbers have grown. Now, this is at a time when lots of people, very well-intentioned, say, well, we've got a housing shortage, we haven't got enough affordable housing, we can't see GPs, we can't get doctor's appointments, we can't get hospital appointments to see consultants or operations, we can't get schools places, particular crisis in certain areas. And yet we've got the bosses of some of the big multinational businesses, or the big domestic businesses. And I'll use one example in particular. Many of you will know of the retail chain Next, headed up very successfully by Lord Wolfson, incredibly successful business. They've made profits of over £400 million in the 6 months just gone, probably 800 million in the year. And he's on a salary of over 4 million a year. Interestingly, this week on a different radio channel, he said that we needed to have even more lawful immigration. Even more, he said. We need to have more lawful immigration from overseas. I then checked out how much Next are offering to pay their staff, and the lowest rate I saw for a sales assistant working for Next was £6.89 per hour. £6.89 per hour. They're offering £9.80 per hour for their warehouse operatives. I would respectfully suggest to Lord Wolfson, it's not surprising you're short of 3,000 staff because you're offering 20% less than companies like Tesco's or companies like ASOS, almost 20% less per hour. So, Lord Wolfson, I think what you should do actually is you should pay a proper, decent British wage for British workers, and that you should train British workers rather than looking to boost your already significant, vast profits by wanting more low-skilled, cheap, overseas labour where you don't have to train people that might suit your business but doesn't suit the housing and infrastructure requirements of the country, doesn't suit the quantity of medical and healthcare capacity that we've got. Utterly extraordinary. And no debate from Lord Wolfson about what about trying to help get some of the 5.3 million people on out-of-work benefits, British people, British citizens here in the UK, trapped in the benefit system. What about getting them back into work, helping to train and motivate and support them? Because there's no chat in government about this. If you got if you got 1 million of those people on out-of-work benefits back into work, which is better for their own sense of satisfaction and achievement, better their families, their communities, that would save in the order of 15 to 20 billion pounds in just 1 year. You wouldn't need any tax rises. Just think about that. If we got 2 million back into work, you could be saving nearly 40 billion pounds a year. This is where the debate should be. This is where the focus should be. This is where the effort should be to help our own British citizens get back into work. And for me, one of the objectives of Brexit was to help increase pay levels for the lowest paid, the least well off, by restricting lawful immigration. But this government's gone down completely the opposite route. We then need to talk about unlawful immigration. As we know, there's been lots of talk about it. Some 40,000 illegal crossings over the Channel. And I was the first to raise, on the 7th of August, the issue of the huge number of Albanian people crossing that English Channel. And I said, when I first talked about it, the very first thing I said was that the vast, vast majority of Albanians will be law-abiding, decent people, many of whom are living here in the UK. But that we had to address the difficult, uncomfortable issues about the criminality within parts of the Albanian fraternity. Now, yesterday there were protests, huge protests on Parliament Square and on Westminster Bridge by parts of the Albanian community. And they were protesting about being scapegoated, draping a flag around the statue of Winston Churchill. Bad enough at any time. But to do that on Remembrance Weekend, I think shows a complete misjudgment about the current position. It showed a real misunderstanding and a deep disrespect of the values of this weekend, the sensitivity, the importance of this weekend for those who fought and died to protect and preserve democracy. I really do think that those law-abiding Albanians who were playing Albanian music and parading Albanian flags through the square of the mother of all democracies on this weekend, they have badly, badly misjudged the national mood. What they should be doing is they should be accepting the facts, which are that Albanian criminals represent the largest group in our jails. The fact that on current growth rates, there'll be more Albanian criminals in British jails in 2026 than there will be in Albanian jails. The fact that Albanians are indeed the largest group of illegal entrants across the Channel. The fact that, according to the National Crime Agency, Albanian criminals have taken over the drugs trade, cocaine and cannabis trade, and that they are indeed the owners and promoters of car washes, of new barber shops, of candy shops, in order to launder the vast sums of profits from their illegal drugs trade. So to those law-abiding Albanians, I say this: please respect the values and the generosity and the hospitality of the British people and the British nation. Your duty is to help identify those gangsters, those criminals. Your duty is to make sure that our authorities know who those people are. That surely is the sensible, decent, law-abiding thing to do. And let's remember, it's quite easy for Albanians legally to come here. It's a £259 visa, takes 3 or 4 weeks to get, it's a cheap air flight, and you can come and work here like many others, as I've just touched on, under the skilled worker scheme. You could work here under the seasonal agricultural worker scheme. That surely is the right way in order to promote the vast majority of decent law-abiding Albanians here in the UK. Because we really do have a serious issue. And when British people see groups of marauding people around Dunkirk running battles with French police, not unreasonably, the British people are saying, well, hang on, we don't want those sort of people coming into the United Kingdom if before they've even got here, they're fighting the French police. You can see where this is going. It's never been more serious. I think it's never been of greater concern to the British people. We have to discuss it. We have to get on top of it. We have to deal with it. Because I can sense a growing anger amongst the British people about unlimited, low-skilled, low-wage, lawful immigration, and a growing anger about the illegal immigration. We've got to deal with it, we've got to be sensible about it, and we've got to stop the illegal immigration. And with that, here endeth my Sunday sermon.